The Dodgers are in the World Series. We don't know who they're playing. We do know how to win the World Series. That's what we're going to talk about today on All Dodgers. Coming at you live from my mom's basement in Pleasant Grove, Utah. This is the All Dodgers podcast, part of the Bleav Network of podcasts, brought to you by FanDuel. I am Jeff Snider. That guy right next to me right there, that is my buddy Clint Pasillas, coming to you live from his mom's basement in beautiful La Puente, California. This is All Dodgers. We are, we're All Dodgers. Soon, a cartoon picture of me will be on the logo along with the cartoon picture of Clint. Then it'll be really official that we are All Dodgers. But for now, you'll have to take my word for it. And Clint, as we are speaking right now, did that other game end yet? I know it was close.
It is officially over. Toronto pushes it to Game 7 with a 6-2 victory over the Seattle Mariners. Happy that series is going 7. Let them beat each other up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bummer that even after going 7, they'll still get 3 days off before the World Series starts. So, but going 7 is what we want, and I don't really care who they play. What we know is that the Dodgers are going to have to score more points than the other team, at least 4 times. If you're new here, yes, we know it's not points. We say that on purpose, just to cut off any of that.
Take that.
I noticed a common thread both in the YouTube comments of our last episode after the Dodgers won the NLCS, which, by the way, folks, you guys showed up. We did big numbers on that one. Appreciate you guys supporting us. Our subscriber numbers have been doing well. So, yeah, thank you all for hanging out with us so much. We appreciate it. We're going to be here a lot for the next, hopefully, 4 games, maybe as much as 7 games before Christmas season starts. We still got another week and a half of baseball season to go, and we will be talking. But I noticed in the comments and on Twitter, people are concerned, Clint, and I understand. And I think there's a natural something about 2013 through 2019, those 7 seasons where the Dodgers were really good, one of the best teams in baseball most of those years, and yet never could go all the way, especially starting in 2017 when they actually made it to the World Series and lost. The triple whammy of 2017 and 2018 losing in the World Series, and then 2019 losing in the NLDS, a series that they should have won. I think it broke a lot of people inside, and not really in a bad way, but just I think there's a natural pessimism at this point where people are afraid to get hurt again. And so I think this week that the Dodgers get off between the NLCS and the World Series is a natural time for people to worry about what might happen when the World Series starts, Clint. And so I've been seeing a lot of people worried. And the big thing that most people were worried about, I tweeted out that last year, just to point out how different this year's NLCS was than last year's. Last year in the NLCS, the Dodgers outscored the Mets 46-26. This year, they outscored the Brewers 15-4. I know that last year went 2 games more, but that's 50% longer series, and yet 300% more runs scored for the Dodgers, and what's this? 400%, 450% more runs scored for the opponents. My main point there was Dodgers just only allowed 4 runs in a 4-game series. That's kind of awesome. But a lot of the replies were, yeah, I'm nervous. This offense is cold, et cetera, et cetera. And, I guess first, so I want to address that. That's kind of the point of this episode. It's not going to be a long episode. We're talking half hour probably. I know Spiegel's going live right at 8:30. We're not going to overlap with them too much. He's got good content too there. So if anybody wants to hop over there when we're done, go do that. But first, I want to ask you, Clint, how are you feeling? Are you feeling those worries that a lot of people are feeling? Are you still riding the high of the NLCS, or are you just still hungover from your birthday?
Definitely the latter. Hungover, tired. I was napping for as long as I could today up until joining you here, but I do like the spirit of this conversation because, yes, the Dodgers swept the Brewers. Yes, the Brewers won the most games in baseball this year. But, yeah, you're you're not seeing that same firepower out of the Dodgers lineup that you saw last year. I mean, those numbers are pretty drastic and dramatic. The differences between the amount of runs scored last year versus this one. Um, I don't necessarily know that I'm extremely concerned about the offense, mostly in that they faced good pitching. Brewers pitchers probably a lot better than we gave them credit for. Freddie Peralta, obviously very, very good pitcher, but arguably a top 25 pitcher in baseball, maybe top 30. I don't know. I'm just pulling that out of my ass right now. Jacob Mizorowski, when he was on the mound, absolutely shoved. There's a reason they put Jose Quintana all the way at the back of their starting rotation and wait to the last possible minute to pull that lever. So they were very good. And then heading into or going back a series, NLDS, Phillies pitching very, very good with all of those lefties. A bunch of bodies that are able to mitigate the slug. And what we've seen the Dodgers do is kind of pivot, something we definitely did not see them do much of in 22 and 23. Pivot, change the game plan a little bit. I don't know if it's necessarily changing the game plan, but, it's a team that lives and thrives on slug when they're right and during a season or whatever. But we're seeing them play, some, I wouldn't say little ball, but find more grass, use different clubs in the bag, and take walks and take advantage of opportunities given to them. This Dodgers team has done that pretty well. Not perfect. They haven't been great with runners in scoring position. They haven't capitalized on every mistake out there, but they're doing just enough to win. And I think they can continue that in the World Series, whether it's against the Mariners, who have a very good starting rotation as well, if not probably beat up by the time they finish the series. Versus the Blue Jays, who have a bunch of slug and their pitching isn't as solid as Seattle. But this is a team that has been there and done that enough to, I think, finally learn and know that they could win in a multitude of ways. That's either 3 homers from Shohei Ohtani in a baseball game, or a Ben Rortvent bunt, Ron Rorvatelt bunt in a key situation to get a point across the board and win by a run. I think they are in a pretty good spot. There's concern, but not a bunch of concern for me.
Well, that's good. That's how I feel like last year. I think the Yankees last year were a better team than either the Mariners or Blue Jays this year, and the Dodgers won that. I also think the Dodgers last year were a different kind of team. Obviously, they had a better regular season record last year than this year. I don't know that I'd say that they were a better team. Obviously, last year with the Yankees being a better team and the Dodgers starting pitching questions, I was nervous going into the World Series for sure, and felt a couple times like they dodged a couple bullets in that series.
Yeah.
But all of this has me thinking about, like, it's kind of funny. Anytime someone is looking for an opportunity to be pessimistic, they will tell you how you win in the postseason. And we've seen it all year long. As people have been complaining in the comments of our show, oh, yeah, I mean, sure, they beat the Rockies, but you can't win in October like that. You got to have X or Y or Z in October. But the thing is, nobody agrees ever on what that is. It all depends on what did the Dodgers do poorly in that game. Okay, I'm going to say that's the thing you have to have in October in order to win. And so, like, the old saying since I've been a kid was pitching and defense wins championships. Sometimes it does. Well, you got to play small ball in October. Sometimes. Oh, you got to slug in October. I mean, I just saw today. Teams that have out-homered their opponents are 19-2 so far in this postseason, which makes sense because you get points for home runs, and that's how you win games. Big if true. But all these different things that people talk about. The fact is, there is only one formula, and I saw somebody in the chat say that our title was clickbait, and it's not, because I'm going to tell you how you win the World Series, how you win in October. You score more points than the other team 4 times in one series. That's how you do it. And there are so many different ways to do that, yes, in a perfect world, you would have elite starting pitching, elite relief pitching, elite defense, and elite offense. Mm-hmm. I don't know that any team has ever had all 4 of those. You may look at something. My Uncle Jim, who's the Giants fan, I talk about Uncle Jim, the Giants fan, a lot. He's still upset about the 1963 Dodgers winning the World Series because that team could not hit. But they had Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale. They had Maury Wills stealing bases. They just small balled them to death, and they won that World Series. And Uncle Jim is still upset about that. If you can imagine a Giants fan still being upset about something the Dodgers did, but and not 62 years later. But you can win in so many different ways. And what the Dodgers do have this year is elite starting pitching. And I saw somebody in the chat, where is it? Ray Barrios says what I might worry about is both Snell and Glasnow possibly being due for a down game. Yeah, I can see that. But the Dodgers have elite starting pitching. They have a bullpen that is top heavy, but has been better lately than it was late in the season that we were worried about. And they have an offense that has scored enough runs and add it all up. And 9 times in 10 games this postseason, the Dodgers have scored more than their opponent. And all they got to do is do that 4 more times in the next 7 games, hopefully 4 times in the next 4 games. But my point in all of this is that it doesn't matter how you score more points. You can do that by preventing the other team from scoring, whether through pitching or defense or whatever, or you could do it by outslugging them, which is what the Dodgers did to the Mets last year in the NLCS. They outslugged the Mets. That series was not a display of pitching prowess on either side necessarily. No. I mean, Walker Buehler had a very good game against the Mets. There were good pitching performances, but overall, the Dodgers they scored 45 runs. The Mets scored 26 runs, and in 6 games. That is, not how you would draw it up necessarily, but that one told you, okay, pitching and defense didn't win that championship last year. The offense won the championship last year for the Dodgers. So there's all these different ways. I'm kind of loving the fact that this year's team is built so much differently than last year's, Clint. Like that it's not, it could get boring as the Dodgers are on their everlasting quest to ruin baseball and buy championships. It would get boring if they just did it the same way every year. And so I'm loving that right now it's the starting pitching that's carrying them instead of the offense like it was last year. I feel really good about it,
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say it's built a lot different. The lineup is almost exactly the same. At least it feels almost exactly the same. Slight variations or guys just in different spots, mainly Edman and Kike. But to the root of this whole thing and what you were saying just a minute ago, and I also want to dive into that whole down game comment or whatever. Manny Man 5 Dodge earlier said, like, don't we just need to score one more than they do still? Like, is he missing? Are we missing something? Yeah, that's what it comes down to. And the fact that this starting rotation is so elite that the offense can be either not bad, but just not as flashy as they were last year. And they can still be not outright dominating and destroying teams, but I had a friend say, it was kind of surgical in the way they're doing it. They're doing just enough to win these ball games, and they don't need to throw extra runs on the board. Sorry, points. I'll keep the narrative going. They don't need to score extra points in the games just to make it look bigger or better or whatever. They're like, all right, we got our 5, we got our 3. That's going to be enough to get us, bridge us to the end of a ball game. But we also do know, having seen that team last year that put up all of those runs or points against the Mets, it's in there. We know it's in there. Teoscar hasn't, run into one for a week now or something like that. We know Tommy Edman is starting to heat up, had himself a very nice LCS there. Kike Hernandez, who's having a very, very good series in his own right, not necessarily hitting the ball a long way, but very much can do that either in Toronto or in the other place, Seattle. I was going to say Tampa Bay for some reason. And Freddie isn't doing much of anything, which he is going to be very annoyed about. So I think the World Series, I agree with your sentiment that the Yankees last year were better than either the teams the Dodgers will face starting on Friday. And with that, I expect the Dodger offense to be a little bit more flashy, to have a little bit more slug, and not run prevention, but put points up on the board against the Mariners or the Blue Jays. I just expect it to look different than what we've seen so far this postseason. And the last thing there was on that comment from Ray earlier, We've seen Yamamoto's down game already this postseason. Hopefully that was his one. And if Snell's due for a down game or whatever, the thing where I don't worry about that is they still will have Emmett Sheehan. They'll still have Justin Robleski. Maybe they'll have Clayton Kershaw. If somebody has a down game, uh, Dave Roberts now understands you don't need to stick with these guys longer than needed. He is willing to pull that ripcord uh, as soon as needed, as soon as he feels it is needed, and go to another elite arm if somebody is down. So I don't think they'll be, if Snell has a stinker or whatever, it's not going to be like, okay, we're down by 7 or whatever because they didn't have anybody else. No, good pitchers, living pitchers ready to go. So even in that scenario, Dodgers are very well equipped to work around a bad game. So it's just, yeah, you do worry about another team being better in the postseason. You do have, you said much earlier in the show, like you don't want to get hurt. So immediately you just start putting up those, well, this could happen. This could happen. It's a good team, guys. They are not the team we saw struggling through August and into early September, whatever. They are the team. They are who we thought they were. And that's something that it makes me feel positive. It can help you guys can feel positive about it as well, that they have a better chance than either of the American League teams to win the World Series. Hey, even FanDuel agrees with that, by the way, Jeff.
I was just going to tell you that. Our friends over at FanDuel right now, we're confident. They're confident too. The Dodgers are currently sitting at minus 210 favorites to win the World Series. Mariners and Blue Jays tied at plus 400. Basically, whichever one of them wins the World Series or wins the ALCS, they think has a not very good chance to beat the Dodgers. That's what I think too. I think that it is kind of interesting that they're both at plus 400. I wonder if that means that their chances to win right now the Blue Jays are favored for tomorrow's game at minus 116. So pretty close spread, but the Dodgers are the favorites on FanDuel to win. Minus 210 means you'd have to wager $210 in order to just win $100 back. On top of that, the Dodgers are favored for a reason. And, we got a couple voicemails we're going to get to about, kind of touching on some of this stuff. Also got a couple super chats I want to get into real quick. Our buddy Richie Flores, a $4.99 super chat, says, if you're nervous for the World Series, buy a bottle of Jack, call your therapist, and break out the popcorn. I have no fear. Why? Because I am married. Yeah.
My wife.
I met Richie's wife too. And she seems too good for him to me, but I don't know. You got any thoughts on Richie's comment?
She's a saint for putting up with him for sure. I mean, I've talked about this bottle of Makers that my good friend Alana Rizzo sent me last year. This is my bullpen juice. I haven't needed to get into the bullpen juice very much. The problem we thought they were going to haven't really had it. They've had three stinkers so far out of the bullpen, but nothing that really necessarily cost them a game. I mean, Kershaw came in, they were down in that game either way.
Yeah, they were already down 3-1 when Kershaw came in. He definitely threw gas on the fire, but yeah, I mean, really game 2 against the Phillies was the biggest bullpen scare. I've only clutched my clutch and pillow one time this postseason.
I saw that picture and I was laughing at a mid to late 80s man clutching a pillow on the couch. It was wonderful.
Hey, you're in your 40s now, man.
Very cute. Is it okay to call it?
Absolutely. Our buddy Jason sent us some Indonesian rupiahs, 159,000 of them to be exact. Somebody did the conversion. I think they said that's about $20. So thank you, Jason.
That's awesome.
Hi, all Dodgers fam. While I was happy the Dodgers won, but no Dodgers baseball has left me craving. Good thing there's still all Dodgers content. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
There's always all Dodgers content for you. I think you made a good point, Clint. And before
once in a while.
Before we look to FanDuel, I was as surprised as you. I feel like the offense is going to want to be more involved in winning this series, knowing that the pitching won the NLCS. Offense, you can make a case the offense won the wild card series against the Reds. The Phillies, it was definitely a pitching heavy win, and the Brewers, it was a pitching heavy win. I think the offense wants to be. They want to make sure that it's one of them that gets the World Series MVP award. I don't think the offense wants Blake Snell getting the MVP award, not because he didn't earn it, but because they did way more. I love Shohei Ohtani's chances of continuing this breakout, because the fact is he's not ever facing Christopher Sanchez again this year. He's not facing Jacob Mizorowski again this year. He's not facing Jared Koenig or Robert Gasser. You know, these guys who's just really good left-handed arms. And there's a specific kind of lefty that Ohtani struggles with. I admit I'm not intimately familiar with the bullpens of the Mariners and the Blue Jays. I can't think off the top of my. I think the Blue Jays have Eric Lauer, right? I don't know if he's a starter or a reliever for them, but
he's relieving this year.
He's no Christopher Sanchez, you know. He's no Jared Koenig, and so like I think Ohtani's going to have a big one. I think Teo is going to break out. Freddie, like you said, you know, there's no way in the world Freddie is having back-to-back bad offensive, important postseason series. You know,
no. And even if it's one game, if he has a walk-off or a big knock or whatever, he's going to make his presence known in this series. He is not happy. By the way, if we're going to shoehorn in another FanDuel for the funsies of it, Shohei Ohtani is a plus 185 favorite to be the World Series MVP. So FanDuel, the bettors are the people are also believing that Shohei is going to make an impact on that World Series.
And our Indonesian friend Jason, Shohei should get to work because he represents both the pitchers and the hitters. You know, yeah. And that's probably that. Just like everything else, Shohei has to be the odds-on favorite because he can do more things than anybody else can do. Another super chat from our buddy Francisco Diaz, $4.99. What's your guys' opinion on having a week off between the sweep and game one? We'll dig more into that later this week as we kind of get a feel for what the Dodgers are doing to prepare for it. My short version, though, Clint, is I think the Dodgers figured it out last year. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I think the Dodgers have figured out how to make the time off be only a benefit and not a detriment.
Yeah, I mean, you said it all. You said it all right there. I've said something very similar since this team clinched. I have no issues with time off for this team because we know they're still going to be putting in the work. They're still going to be doing their team bonding thing that worked. And whether they need to fly or stay in LA, they will be ready for that when the day comes.
Let's do a quick delete me read, and then going to read a couple comments in the chat, play a couple voicemails, and we're going to wrap this one up for tonight so people could go hang out with Jeff Spiegel too, you know, get all your Jeff fix for tonight. Clint, tell the people about Delete Me.
Guys, Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time where surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everybody vulnerable. You get those emails every couple of days, every couple of weeks, like, oh, our security has been breached. We apologize for this. Delete Me helps keep your information out of bad people's hands. They can help out with that. Data brokers, of course, they make a profit off of your data. Your data is a commodity to them, and anybody on the web can buy your private details. That could lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, harassment. Now you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. And if you have been the victim of identity theft, or if you know somebody who has, it really is the worst to try to get your life back in order. So Delete Me can help you take control of your data and keep your private life private. All you got to do is sign up for Delete Me, and you get a special discount here. All Dodgers listeners and watchers get that discount, 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/hit. You see it on the screen. That is HIT. You use that promo code HIT at checkout. The only way you can get 20% off. I'm doing that cadence thing again, but I'm not going to get too crazy with the hands, I promise. That's what she said. The only way you can do that is go to joindeleteme.com/hit. Use promo code HIT at checkout. Final time. I'm doing a hand thing. That's joindeleteme.com/hit. Use promo code HIT. Thank you for listening. Hands. You're still muted.
Oh, man. I always do that. I think you're in your own head a little bit there on that ad read. But good job. Thanks, Delete Me. A couple comments I've kind of starred. People know I'm not great at looking at the comments while I'm also talking, but Daniel Solorio says it doesn't matter who the Dodgers play, they'll repeat as World Series champions. Let's go Dodgers. NG 2004 says exactly right. Those years of not making it all the way in the playoffs just means I'm incapable of being optimistic until we win the final game. that's definitely one approach to take.
It's funny because we had this conversation when we were talking to Steven Nelson at Dodger Stadium, and I had mentioned we're going for the sweep tomorrow, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know," and I was like, "This is the first time." This is a very paraphrased version of our conversation, but it's the first time I had that level of confidence to say, "No, this is a very good team that is going to beat." Another very good team that is not as good as this team. There's just no way that series was going beyond 4 games. And as a Dodger fan, I understand that's a difficult kind of, I don't know if it's a hill to die on, but it's a hill to climb up right there, to have that feeling of confidence in your team, because we have been hurt in the past, very much hurt in that 22 and 23 season. It's a different ball club this year though, guys.
Absolutely. Miss Blue Mod wants Mookie Betts going all Thanos, getting his 4th ring. Almost got the whole handful. I do want to point out that conversation with Steven Nelson was prior to Game 3. Clint was confident in a sweep before Game 3. That's where we're at. We got a couple voicemails. We're gonna play Alexander Rose and Richie Flores, both left voicemails. I haven't screened these. You did a little bit, Clint, and I think you said Alexander's kind of fits in with what we're talking about here. So here's Alexander Rose.
What is up, boys? Alexander Rose back with another message. And in today's message, the word of the day is sweep. Because, yes, the Dodgers did sweep the Brewers. Now, we all know our starting pitching has looked great. We all know the bullpen has looked better with the guys that we've used. The offense still really hasn't clicked on all forms, I believe. We still need some work there, honestly. But I'm confident that with the World Series locked, the boys getting some rest, that the offense is going to show up more and more. And how about that Ohtani guy, man? It's shocking, hot take here, but that Ohtani guy is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. And honestly, there's not much to say at this point. We're in the last 2 or 1 week of baseball, and I'm very sad. But I'm going to be even happier when we hold up that trophy, hopefully. And Kershaw rides into the sunset with a ring. And one final week of F this, F that, F this player. So, yeah. Make sure you guys hit that like button for the All Dodgers too. Subscribe, join the Discord, support on Patreon. Go up and beyond in the chat right now. And bye.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alexander. And good stuff there for sure. I realized today was the last Sunday with baseball of the year because there's no World Series game next Sunday.
I was going to ask, how you handling 2 days without baseball, Dodger baseball at least?
It's with everything going on with my family situation, with my cousin dying. Had my family actually up unrelated because my brother's wife just had a baby, so we had a lot of family stuff. It's been a welcome break for me lately. I'm about ready for baseball, but especially because the funeral's not going to be for another week and a half. The night of game or the day of Game 4 of the World Series is when the funeral is, and so I kind of wish we had baseball going on. But this weekend has been a nice break for me. I'm not looking forward to 4 more days of break though.
Yeah, I would very much like to see. I mean, at least we have a game tomorrow. We have a Game 7 in the ALCS, but yeah, I would. I have I don't know if it's a love-hate relationship, but it's a love relationship sometimes with baseball and the Dodgers, where listen, it's a grind for those guys out on the field, but sometimes it's a grind for us too, and we appreciate you guys, the crowd, the big crowds that show up here, especially during the postseason. You guys make it a lot more fun to do these shows. So we appreciate the hell out of you guys. Donnie boy's bored out of his mind. At least you got us. You got family here.
And Danny Ark says Ohtani for mayor of LA. So, I don't know if that counts as talking politics, but let's listen to Richie's voicemail, and then we will wrap this thing up.
Oh, my God. There was man lands on the moon. the miracle 1969 Mets, the Kirk Gibson walk-off, the Freddie walk-off, and tonight we witnessed history. A Dodgers starting pitcher who strikes out 10 and then goes yard 3 times. God, I love ruining baseball. Baseball is fun. And if nobody understands the significance of what happened today, then you're just dead or you're a Raiders fan. But I digress. The Brewers came into this series colder than my sister-in-law's personality, and I love every minute of it. And now we await the Mariners of the Blue Jays, and quite frankly, as I quote Rick Monday, I don't care who we play. I just want to go back-to-back for the first time since 1999 and 2000. But baseball is fun again. Happy birthday, Clint. I remember watching your channel for the first time. I think there was 12 of us, and what it's grown in today, the contributions that Jeff has done since he's joined by helping out with content, doing solo shows on himself. And where would we be without Kevin's Kitchen? With Mrs. Kevin in the background, checking the stove and seeing if the cookies are baked, to his dog running around and hopping in his lap, to the kitchen appliances in the background. I'm sure Kevin is happier than selling kitchen appliances at the local Best Buy. So I will conclude with this. Throw strikes, play catch, put the ball in play, run the bases intelligently. Let's ruin baseball. See ya.
Thank you, Richie. Good
Keep
stuff.
running baseball.
Obviously, that was left the other night, I guess, after
Friday,
game 4 of the NLCS, which happened to be the last game of the NLCS because the Dodgers did sweep. Dodgers getting ready to do it again. I don't know if I'm going to call for a sweep. We'll have to see who they're playing. But I feel good about this team, Clint. I think this team has all the pieces, and you don't got to put them all together in one series. I think we're going to see the Dodgers' best series of baseball, where they've played 3 good series. I think we're going to see their best baseball in the World Series when it matters the most. Dodgers going to win this. You got anything else to add before we wrap this thing up, Clint?
Now, 5 days until we see baseball again. We see Blake Snell taking the ball against. It doesn't matter. Dodger baseball will be here, and it will be better. And we're going to be here during the week. We will eventually figure out who the Dodgers are playing, so we'll have content previewing that team, or at least talking about that team. Eventually, there will be a series preview officially, probably on Thursday. We'll probably talk some roster stuff. I think a fair question to ask at some point this week is who is going to be off the roster, on the roster? Do they make a move with Tanner Scott and Clayton Kershaw or something like that? So a lot of good stuff, but it's fun time. Really, really fun time to be a Dodger fan.
Absolutely it is. Dodgers heading to the World Series in 5 more days. Until then, we will keep you busy with content. We'll have lots to talk about. Feel free to, if you got voicemails, send them in. I don't have the number scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So send them in. Remember, no F-bombs, and keep them. Other than that, say whatever you want. Hop on over to Dodger Blue now. Spiegel and Matt Moreno are going live. I think they started just a minute or two ago. Yep. Thank you to all you for being here. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the non-super chats that were also super. Thanks to the chat mods. Thank you to the Bleav Network for having us. Thank you to FanDuel and Delete Me for sponsoring the show. And with that said, I think all that's left to say, Clint, is bye.